The vast emptiness of space suddenly lit up with a strange, pulsing light. A massive ship, looking like a shiny metal jellyfish, appeared out of nowhere. This was the Zorthax, the pride of the Galactic Confederation's exploration fleet. Its mission: to find new worlds and spread their advanced civilization across the universe. Captain Xylob, a tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms and 3 eyes, stood on the bridge. His antenna twitched with excitement as he looked at the small blue planet on the main screen. "Scan complete, Captain," chirped his science officer, Vesla. Her 6 tentacles danced over the control panel. The 3rd planet from the star shows signs of intelligent life. Xylob's eyes widened. "Interesting. What can you tell me about this species?" Vesla's face crunched up in confusion. "It's strange, Captain. They appear to be carbon-based life forms. Bipedal, mostly hairless. They'd breathe oxygen and have only 1 heart." The crew on the bridge exchanged looks of disbelief. Captain Xylob let out a laugh. "Sounds rather primitive, doesn't it? I'm surprised they've managed to survive this long." "There's more, sir," Vesla continued. "They have no natural defenses. No claws, no venom, not even a proper exoskeleton. And their lifespan, it's incredibly short. Less than a century for most of them." The bridge erupted in laughter. These creatures sounded more like pets than a sentient species. Well, Xylob said, rubbing his chin with one of his lower arms. "It seems we've stumbled upon a young race. Perhaps they need our guidance." He turned to his communications officer. "Zrax, send a message to High Command. Tell them we found a suitable planet for colonization. The native species is primitive and shouldn't pose any threat." Zrax nodded and began transmitting the message. Meanwhile, on Earth, life went on as usual. In New York City, Sarah Johnson hurried down a busy street, late for work. She dodged other pedestrians, her coffee sloshing in its cup. Little did she know that high above, alien eyes were watching her every move. Back on the Zorthax, Captain Xylob and his crew continued their observations. They watched humans go about their daily lives, marveling at how such fragile creatures had built cities and developed technology. "Look at them," Vesla said, pointing to a group of children playing in a park. "Their young are so helpless. How do they even survive to adulthood?" Xylob shook his head. "It's a mystery. But don't worry. We'll soon fix their biological shortcomings. Our advanced science can surely improve upon nature's mistakes." Just then, a loud beep echoed through the bridge. Zrax's eyes lit up. "Captain, we're receiving a response from High Command." The main screen flickered to life, showing the stern face of Admiral Krotak. His purple skin gleamed under the bright lights of his office. "Captain Xylob," the Admiral's voice boomed. "We've reviewed your report. The High Council has decided to proceed with the colonization of this planet." Xylob's chest swelled with pride. "Thank you, Admiral. When can we expect the colonization fleet to arrive?" "In 3 solar cycles," Admiral Krotak replied. "Your mission is to prepare the planet for our arrival. Study these humans, learn their weaknesses. We want a smooth transition of power." "Understood, Admiral," Xylob said with a salute. "We won't let you down." As the transmission ended, excitement rippled through the crew. They were about to make history, bringing an entire planet into the fold of their advanced civilization. "You heard the Admiral," Xylob announced to his crew. "Let's get to work. I want detailed reports on human biology, their social structures, and their technology. Leave no stone unturned." The crew sprang into action, each member eager to study this strange new species. Little did they know that humans, despite their apparent biological shortcomings, had a few surprises in store for them. As the Zorthax hovered silently above Earth, invisible to human technology, the people below continued their lives, blissfully unaware of the alien threat looming over them. The stage was set for a confrontation that would shock the galaxy and challenge everything the aliens thought they knew about biology and survival. In just 3 solar cycles, Earth would face its greatest challenge. But for now, the only sign of the coming storm was a strange, pulsing light in the night sky that a few stargazers mistook for a new star. 3 solar cycles passed in the blink of an eye. The day of first contact had arrived. Captain Xylob stood at the helm of a massive dropship, leading a fleet of smaller vessels towards Earth. The blue planet grew larger in their view screens. Remember, Xylob addressed his crew, these humans are primitive. They may be scared or hostile, but we're here to help them. As they entered Earth's atmosphere, their cloaking devices failed. Suddenly, they were visible to everyone below. In New York City, Sarah Johnson was walking to work when she saw something strange in the sky. A huge, shiny object was descending towards Central Park. She wasn't the only one who noticed. All around her, people stopped and pointed. "Is that a spaceship?" Someone nearby whispered. Panic spread quickly. Cars screeched to a halt. People ran in all directions. Phones came out as everyone tried to capture the historic moment. The alien ships landed smoothly in Central Park, crushing trees and scaring away birds. A hush fell over the gathered crowd as the largest ship's door slowly opened. Captain Xylob stepped out, blinking in the bright sunlight. He was followed by his crew, all wearing protective suits. They looked around curiously at the humans who had gathered at a safe distance. Sarah, driven by curiosity, had made her way to the front of the crowd. She watched in awe as the blue-skinned, 4-armed alien raised all his hands in what he hoped was a peaceful gesture. "People of Earth," Xylob's voice boomed through a translator. "We come in peace. We are the Zorthax, and we're here to help you." The crowd murmured in confusion and fear. "Help them? How? Why?" Xylob continued. "We've observed your planet and found your species lacking. But don't worry. With our advanced technology, we can fix your biological flaws and make you better." This statement caused an uproar. People started shouting and pushing. "Who are you to say we're flawed?" Sarah found herself yelling. Xylob was taken aback. This wasn't the reaction he had expected. Where was the gratitude? The excitement? Just then, military vehicles arrived. Soldiers poured out, quickly forming a barrier between the aliens and the crowd. A stern-looking man in a general's uniform stepped forward. "I'm General Thompson of the United States Army. You are trespassing on Earth. State your true intentions immediately." Xylob blinked his 3 eyes in surprise. "As I said, we're here to help. To colonize your planet and uplift your species." The general's face hardened. "Colonize? I'm afraid that's not going to happen. We suggest you leave immediately." Xylob couldn't believe what he was hearing. These primitives were rejecting their help. Impossible. "You don't understand." Xylob tried again. "Your biology is flawed. Your lives are short. Your body's weak. We can fix all that." But his words only seemed to anger the humans more. The crowd was getting louder, more aggressive. Some people were throwing things at the aliens. Vesla tugged on Xylob's arm. "Captain, this isn't going well. Perhaps we should retreat and rethink our approach." Xylob nodded reluctantly. He hadn't expected this level of resistance. These humans were more spirited than he had anticipated. As the aliens began to retreat to their ships, Sarah watched with mixed emotions. Part of her was relieved they were leaving, but another part was curious about what they had offered. The alien ships took off, leaving behind a confused and agitated population. As they rose into the sky, Xylob turned to his crew. "This is just a minor setback," he assured them. "We'll need to change our strategy. These humans are more complicated than we thought." Back on Earth, the world was in chaos. News of the alien visit spread like wildfire. Governments held emergency meetings. People debated whether the aliens were a threat or an opportunity. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. As she watched the alien ships disappear into the clouds, she knew that life on Earth would never be the same again. The real challenge was just beginning. 2 weeks had passed since the aliens' first appearance. The world was still in turmoil, but a strange calm had settled over New York City. People went about their lives, always glancing nervously at the sky. High above Earth, on the Zorthax mothership, Captain Zylob paced back and forth. His initial plan had failed, but he wasn't giving up. "Vesla," he called to his science officer, "what have you learned about human biology?" Vesla's tentacles danced over her console. "Captain, it's fascinating. These humans are full of surprises." She pulled up a holographic image of a human body. "Look at this. Their healing abilities are remarkable. They can recover from injuries that would kill most species." Zylob leaned in, his 3 eyes wide with interest. "How is that possible with such a primitive body?" "That's just it, sir," Vesla explained. "Their bodies aren't primitive at all. They're incredibly complex. Their immune system alone is a marvel of evolution." Meanwhile, on Earth, Sarah Johnson had volunteered for a special government program. Scientists were studying people who had been close to the aliens during first contact. Sarah sat in a sterile lab, electrodes attached to her head and chest. Dr. Emily Chen, the lead scientist, watched the readings with growing excitement. "This is incredible," Dr. Chen muttered. "Sarah, your brain activity has changed since the alien encounter. It's like your mind has expanded." Sarah felt a mix of fear and excitement. "What does that mean? Am I turning into an alien?" Dr. Chen laughed. "No, nothing like that. But it seems exposure to alien technology has triggered some dormant parts of your brain. You're processing information faster. Your memory has improved." Back on the Zorthax, Zylob was making a startling discovery of his own. "Vesla, look at this," he said, pointing to a screen. "These humans are adapting to our presence. Their brains are evolving rapidly." Vesla gasped. "But that's impossible. Evolution takes thousands of years." Zylob shook his head. "Not for them, apparently. These humans, they're changing before our eyes." In the lab on Earth, Sarah was undergoing more tests. Dr. Chen had her solve complex puzzles, memorize long sequences of numbers, even learn a new language. "This is unprecedented," Dr. Chen said, reviewing the results. "Sarah, you've learned in days what would normally take months." Sarah felt a mixture of pride and fear. "But why me? Why is this happening?" Before Dr. Chen could answer, alarms began blaring. The ground shook. Outside, people screamed and pointed at the sky. The Zorthax ships were back, but this time they weren't landing. They hovered over major cities, emitting a strange, pulsing light. In New York, Sarah ran out of the lab, staring up at the massive ship above. The light washed over her, and she felt a tingling sensation throughout her body. On the Zorthax, Zylob watched the screens intently. "The bioscanners are working," he said. "We're getting readings from every human on the planet." Vesla analyzed the incoming data. Her eyes widened in shock. "Captain, you need to see this. The humans, their DNA is changing. It's like their bodies are rewriting themselves in response to our technology." Zylob couldn't believe what he was seeing. "This is impossible. No species should be able to adapt this quickly." Back on Earth, people were panicking. Some fell to their knees, overcome by the strange sensations coursing through their bodies. Others, like Sarah, stood tall, feeling stronger and more alert than ever before. Dr. Chen rushed out of the lab, a portable scanner in hand. She aimed it at Sarah and gasped. "Your cellular structure, it's changing, becoming more resilient, more efficient." Sarah looked at her hands in wonder. "I feel different. Stronger, like I can do anything." All around the world, similar scenes were playing out. Humans were evolving at an unprecedented rate, their bodies and minds adapting to the alien presence in ways no one could have predicted. On the Zorthax, Zylob made a difficult decision. "Shut down the scanners," he ordered. "We need to retreat and analyze this data." As the alien ships disappeared once again, They left behind a changed Earth. Humanity had taken its first steps into a new era of evolution, sparked by the very aliens who had once seen them as primitive. Sarah looked up at the sky, a mixture of fear and excitement in her heart. She knew that whatever happened next, nothing would ever be the same again. A month had passed since the Zorthax's last visit. The world was in chaos, but a new order was emerging. Humans everywhere were discovering strange new abilities. In New York, Sarah Johnson stood atop a skyscraper. Looking out over the city, she took a deep breath, closed her eyes, and stepped off the edge. Instead of falling, she floated gently to the ground, landing softly on her feet. "Still can't believe I can do that," she muttered to herself. Sarah wasn't alone. All around the world, humans were developing extraordinary abilities. Some could heal at incredible speeds, others had enhanced strength or intelligence. It was as if the entire human race had suddenly leveled up. Meanwhile, in a secret underground facility, Dr. Chen was briefing world leaders on the situation. "The alien presence has triggered a rapid evolution in our species," she explained, pointing to complex charts. "We're adapting to challenges we never faced before." One of the leaders, a stern-faced woman, leaned forward. "But what does this mean for us? Are we still human?" Dr. Chen nodded. "Yes, we are. Just improved. Our basic DNA is the same, but it's been optimized. We're becoming what we always had the potential to be." High above Earth, on the Zorthax mothership, Captain Xylob was facing a mutiny. "We should attack now," shouted one of his officers, "before these humans become too powerful." Xylob raised all four of his hands, trying to calm the crowd. "We can't just attack. We don't fully understand what's happening. These humans, they're not what we thought they were." Back on Earth, governments were scrambling to adapt to the new reality. Some saw the changes as a threat and tried to control those with new abilities. Others embraced the evolution, setting up special schools and training facilities. Sarah had joined a group of similarly enhanced individuals. They called themselves the Adapters, and they were determined to use their new abilities to protect Earth from any future alien threats. Today, they were testing their limits in an abandoned quarry outside the city. Sarah watched as her friend Mike lifted a boulder 3 times his size with ease. "Nice work, muscle man," she teased. Then she pointed to a distant cliff. "Race you to the top." Mike grinned. "You're on, floaty girl." As they raced, Sarah flying and Mike leaping impossible distances, they didn't notice the cloaked Zorthax scout ship watching them. Inside the ship, Vesla recorded everything with growing alarm. "Captain," she reported back to Xylob, "you need to see this. The humans, their abilities are growing stronger by the day." Xylob watched the footage, his 3 eyes wide with disbelief. "How is this possible? No species should be able to change this quickly." Vesla's tentacles twitched nervously. "Sir, I have a theory. It's their shortened lifespans and rapid reproduction rate. It's allowing for faster adaptation. Each new generation is stronger than the last." Xylob realized with a start that the very things they had seen as weaknesses in humans were now their greatest strengths. Back in the quarry, Sarah and her friends were finishing their training when they heard a strange noise. Looking up, they saw the air shimmer and a Zorthax scout ship appear. "Everyone, get ready," Sarah shouted, rising into the air. But instead of attacking, the ship's hatch opened, and a single alien emerged. It was Vesla. "Please," she said through a translator, "we mean no harm. We only want to talk." Sarah landed in front of Vesla, her friends forming a protective circle around her. "Talk about what?" she asked cautiously. Vesla's tentacles writhed nervously. "About the future. Yours and ours. Things have changed, and we need to understand each other better." As Sarah considered Vesla's words, she realized this was a crucial moment. The fate of 2 species might hang in the balance. "All right," Sarah said finally. "Let's talk." As human and alien began their dialogue, both sides knew that the universe would never be the same. The story of humanity's rise from primitive beings to galactic players was just beginning, and no one could predict where it would lead. The meeting between Sarah's group and Vesla lasted for hours. As the sun set, casting long shadows across the quarry, both sides realized the enormity of what was happening. "So, you're saying we're evolving faster than any species you've ever seen?" Sarah asked, her eyes wide with wonder. Vesla nodded, her tentacles swaying gently. "Yes. Your ability to adapt is extraordinary. We've never seen anything like it." Mike, the strong man, stepped forward. "But why did you want to colonize us in the first place? We were no threat to you." Vesla's three eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of embarrassment in her species. We thought we were helping. We saw your short lifespans, your susceptibility to disease, and thought you needed our advanced technology to survive." Sarah couldn't help but laugh. "I guess we showed you, huh?" Meanwhile, on the Zorthax mothership, Captain Zylob was facing a difficult decision. His crew was divided. Some wanted to retreat, fearing the rapidly evolving humans. Others wanted to press forward with the colonization, arguing that they could still overpower Earth with their advanced technology. Zylob stood at the view screen, staring down at the blue planet below. "We came here thinking we were superior," he mused. "But these humans, they're teaching us a valuable lesson in humility." Back on Earth, governments worldwide were grappling with the new reality. The emergence of superpowered individuals had changed everything. Old power structures were crumbling as those with new abilities demanded a say in shaping the future. In Washington, D.C., President Laura Chen, no relation to Dr. Chen, addressed the nation. "My fellow Americans, we stand at a crossroads. Our species is changing in ways we never imagined possible, but let us not fear this change. Let us embrace it and use our new abilities to build a better world for all." As the president spoke, Dr. Chen was making a breakthrough in her lab. She had been studying the DNA of the enhanced humans and made a startling discovery. "It's not just random mutation," she exclaimed to her team. "Our DNA is actually repairing itself, optimizing our bodies to face new challenges. It's as if our genes remembered something they had forgotten long ago." In the quarry, Sarah and her friends were still talking with Vesla when suddenly the alien's communication device crackled to life. "Vesla." It was Captain Zylob's voice. "Return to the ship immediately. We've detected a massive energy surge from the planet's core." As if on cue, the ground began to shake. Sarah and her friends stumbled, struggling to keep their balance. Vesla's tentacles wrapped around a rock for support. "What's happening?" Sarah shouted over the rumbling. Vesla's eyes were wide with fear. "I don't know. This isn't us." Suddenly, a blinding light shot up from the ground, piercing the sky. Similar beams appeared all over the world. In New York, Tokyo, London, Cairo, everywhere, these pillars of light reached towards the stars. On the Zorthax ship, alarms blared. "Captain," one of the officers shouted, "the energy readings, they're off the charts. It's like the whole planet is waking up." Zylob stared at the screen in awe. "By the galaxies," he whispered, "what are we witnessing?" Back in the quarry, Sarah felt a strange sensation coursing through her body. It was as if every cell was singing, resonating with the energy around her. She looked at her friends and saw they felt it too. "Guys," she said, her voice filled with wonder. I think the Earth is alive, and it's been sleeping all this time." Vesla's translator struggled to keep up with the rapid conversation that followed. The aliens had thought they were coming to help a primitive species. Instead, they had awakened a slumbering giant, not just humanity, but the entire living planet. As the light show continued, humans all over the world felt a connection they had never experienced before. They were part of something greater, something ancient and powerful. The Zorthax, watching from above, realized that their mission of colonization was over before it had truly begun. They weren't dealing with just a species anymore, but a living, evolving world. The true nature of Earth and humanity was finally revealing itself, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The world had changed overnight. The pillars of light that had shot up from the Earth's core had faded, but their effects remained. Humanity had entered a new era, and the Zorthax found themselves in an unexpected position. Captain Xylob stood before the United Nations, his 4 arms spread wide in a gesture of peace. "People of Earth," he began, his words translated for all to hear, "we came here thinking we were superior. We were wrong. Your planet, your species, you are unlike anything we've ever encountered." The assembly hall was packed with world leaders, scientists, and representatives of the newly evolved humans. Sarah and her friends sat in a special section, still coming to terms with their role in this historic moment. "We wish to open diplomatic relations with Earth," Xylob continued, "not as conquerors or saviors, but as equals. We have much to learn from each other." The response was mixed. Some leaders welcomed the idea, while others remained suspicious. Trust would take time to build. Meanwhile, Dr. Chen was presenting her latest findings to a group of international scientists. "The energy surge didn't just change us," she explained, pointing to complex diagrams. "It changed everything. Plants, animals, even the bacteria in the soil. The whole planet is evolving together." In the weeks that followed, the world witnessed incredible changes. Deserts began to bloom with new, water-efficient plants. The oceans cleared of pollution as new species of algae emerged that could break down plastics and absorb toxins. Sarah and her fellow adapters found their abilities growing and changing. They could now communicate with plants and animals, sensing the needs of the ecosystem around them. It was as if the planet itself was guiding their evolution. One day, while helping to restore a damaged forest, Sarah placed her hand on an old tree. Suddenly, she gasped as images flooded her mind. "Guys," she called to her friends, I think I'm seeing the Earth's memories." Through Sarah's newfound ability, they witnessed the planet's long history. They saw the rise and fall of ancient civilizations, some of which had achieved great technological advancements before disappearing. "It's like the Earth has been through this before," Mike said in awe. "It's been waiting for us to be ready." On the Zorthax mothership, Vesla was making her own discoveries. "Captain," she reported excitedly, "I've been analyzing the energy patterns from Earth. They're similar to ancient readings we've detected from other parts of the galaxy." Thylob's 3 eyes widened. "Are you saying?" Vesla nodded. "Earth might be one of the legendary living worlds we've heard about in old stories. Planets that are sentient, that guide the evolution of the species living on them." This revelation sent shockwaves through the galactic community. The Zorthax, once intent on colonization, now found themselves as students, eager to learn from Earth and its inhabitants. Back on the planet's surface, humanity was facing its own challenges. Not everyone had developed extraordinary abilities, and there was fear and resentment among some. Governments struggled to adapt laws and societies to the new reality. Sarah and her friends took on the role of mediators, using their connection to the planet to help guide humanity towards harmony. They organized global meditation events, where millions of people would connect with the Earth's energy at once. During one such event, as Sarah sat in Central Park with thousands of others, she felt the Earth speak to her not in words, but in feelings and images. "It's showing us a path," she said to those around her. "A way to live in balance, to grow without destroying. But it's up to us to choose it." The message spread around the world. Slowly but surely, humanity began to change its ways. Sustainable technologies, once thought impractical, became the norm as people tapped into the Earth's knowledge. The Zorthax watched in amazement as the planet they had once dismissed as primitive transformed before their eyes. Earth was becoming a beacon in the galaxy, a shining example of the potential hidden within every world. As Sarah looked up at the stars one night, she felt a sense of excitement and purpose. Humanity's journey was just beginning, and the universe was waiting. 5 years had passed since the day the Earth awakened. The world had changed in ways no one could have imagined. Humanity had not only adapted but thrived, becoming stewards of their living planet. Sarah stood on a platform high above New York City, but the city she saw now was very different from the one she grew up in. Skyscrapers were covered in vertical gardens, cleaning the air and providing food. Flying vehicles, powered by clean energy, zipped between buildings. The streets below were full of greenery, with people and animals living in harmony. "It's amazing, isn't it?" a voice said behind her. It was Captain Psylop, who had become Earth's ambassador to the galactic community. Sarah nodded, smiling. "Sometimes I can hardly believe it myself." They looked up as a massive ship descended through the clouds. It wasn't a Zorthax vessel, but one from a distant galaxy. Earth had become a center of interstellar diplomacy, with species from across the universe coming to learn from the living world and its inhabitants. Meanwhile, in a lab beneath the city, Dr. Chen was excitedly showing her latest discovery to a group of human and alien scientists. "We've finally decoded the Earth's genetic language," she announced. "With this, we can communicate directly with the planet, understanding its needs and how we can help it thrive." One of the alien scientists, a crystalline being from a gas giant, chimed in. "This could revolutionize how we approach planet colonization. Instead of changing worlds to suit us, we could learn to adapt and live in harmony with them." Back on the surface, Mike was leading a group of children, human and alien, through a nature reserve. The kids watched in awe as he communicated with animals, asking a herd of deer to come closer so the children could see them. "Remember," Mike said to the group, "every living thing on this planet is connected. We're all part of one big family." In Washington, D.C., President Chen, who had been re-elected thanks to her leadership during Earth's transformation, was addressing a global and interstellar audience. "Today, we take our first steps into the greater galaxy not as conquerors, not as refugees, but as teachers and students," she declared. "The Earth has taught us the importance of balance and cooperation. Now, we will share these lessons with the universe." As she spoke, the first Earth ship designed for deep space exploration was launching from a base on the moon. Its mission was to seek out other living worlds, to learn from them, and to share Earth's experiences. Sarah watched the launch from her vantage point in New York, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. She would be joining the next mission, acting as a conduit between the ship's crew and any living worlds they encountered. "Are you ready for this?" Xylob asked, sensing her emotions. Sarah took a deep breath. "I think so. It's a big responsibility, but the Earth has prepared us well." Just then, both of them felt a warm, comforting sensation. The Earth was communicating with them, sending feelings of encouragement and pride. "Well," Xylob chuckled, his three eyes blinking in amusement, "I guess that's the planet's way of saying good luck." As night fell, cities around the world dimmed their lights, allowing the stars to shine brightly. It was a nightly ritual, reminding everyone of their place in the vast universe. Sarah stood with her friends, both human and alien, watching the starry sky. They had all come so far from that day in the quarry when the Earth first awoke. What had started as a potential invasion had turned into the greatest adventure humanity had ever known. "You know," Mike said, breaking the silence, "I used to think we were alone in the universe. Now I realize we were never alone. We just hadn't learned how to listen." Everyone nodded in agreement. The Earth hummed beneath their feet, a living, breathing entity that had guided them to this moment. And now, as humanity looked to the stars, they carried that connection with them. The story of Earth, the awakened living world, and its evolved inhabitants was spreading across the galaxy. It was a tale of transformation, of learning to see strength in what others perceived as weakness. But most of all, it was a story of hope. Hope for a future where diversity was celebrated, where life in all its forms was cherished. As Sarah gazed at the stars, she felt ready for whatever the universe had in store. Earth had changed her, changed all of them. And now, they were ready to change the galaxy.